All right, excellent afternoon to all those who are watching us across the states in Nigeria. Is the departure of multinational companies a pain or a gain to Nigerian economy? I ask in pain. Some may say that it's a loss, as we will obviously lose level of productivity and higher unemployment. And on the flip side, some may say it's a gain, as it will induce development of local industries and of course indigenization of manpower. We will answer this question as the show proceeds. Again, I say welcome to another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. I remain your chief host, your executive producer, my name is Kike Atanda-Owo. I think it's important for us to hear what on this day in history segment asks for us. When I come back, I'll give my submission on it. Stay with me, I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with me. I believe that on this industry segment, my takeaway is the fact that Fayose has been synonymous with Ekiti State for the past 1 decade. There's no way you would want to mention Ekiti politics, without not mentioning Fayose's name, knowing that PDP, without mentioning Ayodele Fayose, who is from PDP at the time. I don't even know where he belongs now because, we know that he's fully with this administration, but still saying he's still a member of PDP. But personally, I believe that he has done what he could have done when was in the corridor of power at the time when as the Ekiti governor, and he could have done more if you ask me. But could it have been better? Because the reason why I'm asking that I could have done more and that it could have been better is the fact that subsequent administration proved it. So I'm not a politician, but there's always room for improvement and continuity of previous administration, which I feel that lacks between the between the coming governors and the past governors. So especially when it comes to the leadership position as well, I think that I need to emphasize on that. So in terms of governance, Ayodele Fayose have remained an important figure in Ekiti politics, and on this day industry segment is reminding us of a decade ago and the role that he played in that state. On this note, I think it's important for us to get a quick message from my sponsors. When I return, we'll dive straight to the topic at hand with my guest. Stay with me, I'll be right back.
Is it good?
Many thanks for staying with us. For today's edition, I will be swinging into business and trade affairs in our country, Nigeria, and our matter has been of blogging concern to all Nigerians recently, and that is the departure of multinationals from Nigeria. The exodus of multinationals from the Nigerian economy has cost the country 94 trillion loss of output in 5 years, according to an economist and of course a former director of research and advocacy at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Nigeria. That is Dr. Vincent Nwani, and of course is also a And I must say that all the multinationals, have left Nigeria by either scaling down operations, transferring ownership or selling their stakes, the most recent being the sale of beverage company Diego's 58.2% share holdings in Guinness Nigeria to Toleram Group on June 11, 2024. That's so recent, And on the live show today, my guests will be analyzing the key factors, driving these exits, which includes the foreign exchange crisis, worsening, security conditions and power supply issues. Significantly, the impact in terms of employment and the overall economy. More importantly, I feel that I must emphasize that I will be discussing the solutions, because without, all these challenges that I've put out there, we must prefer solution on how the government stabilize the naira to retain multinationals in our country. And also, I will be looking at the local driven solutions that can address some of these challenges that I've earlier mentioned. So before we dive straight into the real talk with my guest, I think it's important for me to play his profile, and you agree with me that he's the right fit to provide solution to the issue at hand. Stay with me, I'll be right back. All right, many thanks for staying with us. Let me use this opportunity to usher in my guest, Mr. Paul Alaje. It's a pleasure to have you again on Real Talk with Kike show. And many thanks for creating time. I know that there's an event happening at your end, but creating time to do this and lending your voice on issues that affect us all means so much to us. Thank you so much again for creating time. Are you there?
Yes, thank you so very much for having me. A beautiful afternoon to you.
Thank you so much. So let's just dive straight to the topic at hand, because the departure of multinational companies, I asked in my intro, is it a pain or a gain to Nigerian economy? And the reason why I'm asking that question is because some may say that it's a loss, as we will obviously lose level of productivity and higher unemployment in Nigeria. On the flip side, some may say it's a gain, as it will induce development of local industries and indigenization of manpower for economic growth. What's your take thus far with the departure of these multinationals from Nigeria that has resulted into a 94 trillion naira loss in output over 5 years? Substantial loss has been significant in terms of the implication for the country's economy. What would this 94 trillion naira have been contributed to in terms of our economy if it had been retained in terms of taxes, public services, and of course infrastructure? What's your take on this question?
First, the immediate concern many Nigerians have is what will happen to those who actually stop operating in Nigeria fully. A number of persons have concern whether this is actually good or bad, or whether we should just be indifferent about it. It's important because the president is currently out there seeking foreign investors to come to Nigeria but it will be shocking that while he's busy going to India, going to Qatar, and a few other places around the world, that the ones we have in Nigeria are still living. So that may not really send a positive signal to international community. No thanks to the multiple challenges that we have. What many people have cited for reason, many businesses have cited for reason, of course, there are quite a number of problems. One remains the challenge of accessing FX, because before we started finding some solution to FX, some management have already taken decision. The truth is that the world will not wait for Nigeria for us to start looking for solution. When they notice that we are not finding solution at appropriate time, as of early last year, they started making key decisions to exit the country. Another reason why some of them have said they want to leave is because of purchasing power of Nigerians. Recall that subsidy has been removed for good reason and for some concerns. One good reason because government revenue was going to dwindle. Now that government seems to have sorted part of the revenue challenges, how will people afford some of the things these multinationals are selling? And for many of them, what they noted as reason for departing Nigeria has been affordability of what they are selling in today's exchange rate by Nigerians. Other people have also raised concern of other markets that are becoming more profitable, not because Nigeria became worse, just because other markets became more profitable than Nigeria, then they are leaving Nigeria. I've also seen arguments on the other side where people felt that, Nigerian institutions have started to improve. That is why these multinationals are now leaving Nigeria. I must tell you, I have huge concern because this has implication on our GDP, especially those that are leaving our country outrightly for another market. This is because when you import a commodity, if we must consume them, I tell you, some in the pharmaceutical that we cannot do without. I recall that at 2022, when the Bureau of Statistics released number of total amount of antibiotics imported to Nigeria, over 300 billion naira, not on injection, just antibiotics as a component of the numbers we have in the trade report. Over 300 billion naira was imported. And we have one or two that are operating in Nigeria. Already one has said is leaving Nigeria and have started the process of leaving Nigeria. Staffs have been told, the key staff, core staff have been told they have to work with another sister agency. I remember I engaged with two of the staff on board in an airplane and said, well, unfortunately, the organization technically has left Nigeria and they have looked for another African country where they can operate. That is why the price of the drug they produce, increased from 6,000 naira to 18,500 naira within the space of 3 months. So Nigeria, we have to pay more if we must still consume, and also where there are no alternatives. I understand this could be opportunities for local investors to take over, for those that already have, like those in supermarkets or big chain. Nigerians can take over those. But what happens to those that we don't have access to the technology that they are using, and they prefer to be in another market to compete with us on my side, knowing fully well that these people already understand how Nigerian market works, and they feel that producing on the soil of Nigeria does not really make anything because they have multiple taxation, they play with a lot of kickbacks that some of them has also responded to in some of the questions we asked them, that the kickbacks, yeah, they can even deal with them, but the concerns are just enormous. When we now added issues of insecurity, especially with the news that went on in 2021, 2022, that FCT might not even be as safe after the jailbreak in FCT. I don't know if you remember. You see, economic issues mount over time. It's like an ailment. When a patient did not treat a particular disease and it translates to another disease and it translates to another disease, it will surely have implications. So when we are finding solutions, we must have an holistic view of what the problems are. If not, they may just happen to us suddenly and we wonder what is happening.
Elaborate insights right there, and with all you've shared thus far, let me use this opportunity to just mention a few companies in 2023 that left Nigeria. I know that I have Unilever Nigeria PLC, Procter & Gamble Nigeria, ShopRite Nigeria. When you're talking about the medication increment and all of that, I know there's GlaxoSmith, there's Bolt Food, there's Jumia as well, Jumia Food Nigeria, that left Nigeria in 2023. 2024 rather, the first 6 months, Microsoft Nigeria, Total, PZ, name it. There are so many of them. The last one that I know that caught everybody by our attention is Guinness Diego PLC that also pulled out of our economy, given that these companies, employed an estimate of 23,925 people. How should the government, I must ask you, Mr. Paul, the government should be looking for means of sustaining this employment for these people, because we know the kind of what this will do to our environment, especially when it comes to insecurity. That's my first question to you. Now let me bring it back to the foreign exchange crisis, because I know that one of the reasons why most of these organizations, multinational companies, have also left is because of the fact that the foreign exchange crisis, the instability of the naira, that makes it very challenging, for me not to use the word difficult, for companies to repatriate profits without substantial losses. So my question is, the airlines, even before the questions, the airline industry faced that as well in 2022 till date, because I know that I've engaged one of the top airlines in Nigeria today that we have, which is Air Peace, and he has constantly shared some of the challenges that he is facing as well when it comes to exchange, when it comes to buying of diesel. So the exchange rate has become a bigger problem in the black market today, that shows that dollar above 1,500 naira and the pound above 1,850, if I'm correct, as at today now. Is the CBN and other monetary institutions in the country doing enough in terms of, restabilizing our exchange rates to attract and retain, foreign investors? If not, from your own perspective as an expert, what should they be doing?
Thank you so very much. Madam, you recall that the last time I spoke with you, I made projection that the exchange rate would get to 1,500. And also made projection regarding what poverty, hunger, and deprivation may be this year, 2024. I remember that conversation perhaps was very early this year or very late last year. All the projection that was said in that interview seems to have come to pass by 90%. Why? Because some of the recommendations that were given in that interview, among other interviews that I've also had with other media houses, seems not to have been followed squarely. And of course, economic sins, we have to pay for it. We understand that when people commit sin, they can run to who they believe in and all of those, and such sins are forgiven. But when it comes to economic sin, the law of economics says if you commit it, you have to pay for it. So we are paying for economic sins, but the remittance of such sin, we come from our place of different policy or policy turnaround. And the actors in the in policy formation and implementation must also have a different perspective or a different look, a different kind of determination to make what they are expecting to have a different view, to have a different dimension entirely. So what are we not doing? When you look at currently the economy today, we don't have any guide. To my mind, there is no single document that the entire Nigerian population wants to follow that has the legislation. We don't have a national economic plan. I said it under President Buhari, and about 3-4 months after, government came up with economic recovery and growth plan. The economic recovery and growth plan has parameter. Over 70% of the parameter in recovery and growth plan was failed by those that put it together. Why? Because 30 states out of 36 states did not believe in it. Why did I say so? They did not adopt it. No local government, apart from area councils in Abuja, the 6 of them, no other local government in entire Nigeria adopted economic recovery and growth plan. So how do we now say that we have a national plan? Now we are in a new administration, and the first 1 year is gone. We still don't have any plan that the 36 state governors of the federation, including the FCT, and the area councils and local government, we buy into something that we know this is a national development plan, this is a state development plan, this is a local development plan, that we are all working together. The truth is that we are in this together. Companion of foods shall be destroyed. What are we doing in terms of stability for exchange rates? A number of persons thought, oh, central bank will just make policy. I agree. I remember when Mr. Cardoso did some positive signaling with his team, and we saw how exchange rate reversed from 1,900 to 1,100. My advice then was that stimulate this signaling, but do beyond signaling. You have to now walk the talk. You have to walk the energy. You have to walk the arrest. Unfortunately, because there are no action to back up some of the things we have said, There are no action to tame some of the pressure that Naira have. Then we lost it again to 1,000 to 1,000, 1,004 to 1,500. Well, our prediction has been that dollar will average about 1,500, 1,600 this year. But we are hoping that will not get worse up. So one of the things we are not doing well is that too, agriculture. We seem to have neglected agriculture. Yeah, we have heard a lot of mention around agriculture, but we also don't have a particular plan, a particular implementation, a particular determination, a particular structure with which we are trying to solve our agro problem. The problems are enormous. Everybody agree. We know what the solutions are. They have been mentioned time and again. But starting the solution, being determined to make this solution come to pass seems not to be in place. And as economists, what we can only say are perhaps to repeat some of those solutions which we have said time and again. And if you ask me again, we'll say the way out of the current quagmire will be when we are back into agro processing en masse, when we are back into what's it called now? Into manufacturing. When we are back into production, we need to divide Nigeria into agro units. We need to divide the country. When I say divide, not politically, but I'm referring to put Nigeria in the space of the different manufacturing hubs. For instance, we can look for 3 states that have unique culture, unique production capacity, and have what we call agro process. What do we call it now? Manufacturing process or hub, where people can grow from. And I'm not saying federal government should do this. I'm saying can state government partner together to make this production happen. Again, there should be an handshake between North and South. We hear now that Abia State has a lot of energy. And some of the things that some of these conglomerates or multinationals are complaining about, but that they are going to leave Nigeria because of inadequate power supply. 2, the little power that is available, high cost. You know, the cost of diesel is there. The cost of energy is another thing. And when you look at the agreement we did with the discos, perhaps that agreement made them monopoly of some sort. Because in Lagos, on the mainland, apart from Ikeja Electric, I don't know if there's any other one that we can adopt. On the island, apart from Eco Electric, I don't know there's any other one that we can adopt. And some of these decisions they've taken, they are perhaps people have to be at their mercy. So how do we run when we know that they are not efficient, when they know that they are not they are not giving enough power? They will tell us, go and meet Transmission Company of Nigeria. Last year alone, transmission line collapsed up to 10 times. Now, Transmission Company will say because the GENCOs did not give us enough electricity. The question is, who owns the GENCO? What proportion of GENCO is owned by government? Are we really saying we want to give this to the hands of private sector, or government still want to be looking through the window to manage the same? So the structure of Nigeria economy needs to be completely overhauled, if you ask me, because as much as you think you can solve a problem on one side, the other problems are showing up on the other side. And government must agree that the stage we have now is important for critical stakeholders to support and look beyond just having political solutions to some of our problems. We tried it, in the last 10 years, and rather than having major output in terms of production, what we are having is shrinking. I remember I posted something on X yesterday where I mentioned that those that advise us to take some policies, especially those that are not Nigerians, maybe international organizations, they will not tell us that investors will leave. Why? Because they just want to achieve a short-term solution. They wanted government revenue to boost, but it will have impact because people capacity to buy are significantly reduced. And why am I in business if not because of profit? People are in business because of profit, but if their businesses are not selling, unfortunately, they will have no option other than to leave the country. When you look at the trillions of naira we mentioned, convert it to dollar, it becomes really very small. These are people that brought $1 or $2 billion at a time to Nigeria. But when you convert it because of exchange, when they want to leave the country, the value of their investment is shrinking by the day. So exchange matters are the matters for everybody, not just those. We have to do something about it.
All right, many thanks for that elaborate, passionate, submission, right? And I like the fact that you touched on the agriculture earlier, because I feel that the agriculture sector remains the backbone industry that can propel production for any economy in the world because of the raw materials and inputs for other countries. But that's just by the side right now. Many thanks for, throwing a lot of light regarding that. I think it's better for us to go on a quick break to get the word from our sponsors. When I return, the conversation will continue. This is Real Talk with Kike. Stay with me. I'll be right back. All right, glad to know you're still right there with us. In case you just joined the show, today's conversation is about the significant impact of the recent departure of multinationals from Nigeria, which has resulted in a 94 trillion loss in output over 5 years. And we've explored key factors driving this exit, and of course, such as the foreign exchange rates, yes, of course, insecurity as well, security issue, power supply challenges, you know. We've also considered the government's role in addressing these issues and the potential solution to retaining and attracting foreign investment. And my guest, you know, have been throwing a lot of light on this whole issues that we found ourselves in Nigeria in the last 5 years. But my guest has been Chief Economist and Partner at SPM Professionals, Paul Alaje. Many thanks for all your elaborate submission thus far. And let me use this opportunity to open the phone lines. Remember that you can be part of this conversation by calling the studio number 0811-888-88113. It will show on your screen right now. We're streaming live on Facebook, both on Real Talk with Kike platform and on Silverbell platform. And I must say thank you so much, you know, Mr. Paul, for all that you've shared thus far again. So, let me bring you to speed, because I know that the consistency and the costly power supply significantly raises operational costs for businesses. When you earlier mentioned the power supply and the energy, this year alone we've had multiple collapse of the national grid. Last year we had over 6 national grid collapses. You know, the commencement of the operation of the geometric independence power projects in Aba, I think that's in Abia State, you know, should have been a clear signal to local and international investors, and can also it can be emulated by other states, if you ask me. So my question now is, can the model of that geometric independent power project in Aba be replicated in other states to improve power supply consistency and cost? Today, most homes and businesses will tell you that it's no longer funny with the cost of power. What's your take thus far?
I agree 200%. I agree 100% that now that power is no more on exclusive list, it now is now on concurrent list. We need to task our governors. Even if a governor says I cannot unilaterally produce power, we can ask 5 or 7 governors, because I know for geopolitical zone we have between 5 and 7 heads of subnationals. They need to come together to have a regional power supply. Aba has had it. They cannot fully consume what they have. Can other state partner with Abia State such that they can have access to energy supply? The truth is that if there is no energy, it will practically impossible for us to move from an highly import-dependent nation to one that can become self-sufficient in some output and become a net export nation. And if we don't do this, we will not solve our FX problem. If we don't solve our FX problem, our economy will be highly volatile to any major global shock and several local shocks that is happening. What does that mean? We will still continue to be ravaging in the current economic uncertainty, because with any major policy discomfort, those investors with real investment may leave the country. The shocking thing with this one, the kind of exodus of investors we have seen are majorly portfolio investors. But now that real investors are living in their numbers, totaling over 90 trillion naira in short a period of time, then it calls for concern. Therefore, the state governor must now understand. I think the federal government at FAC, that's our Federal Executive Council, should further explain the importance of the movement of taking out of electricity or energy from the what do we call it now? From the to the concurrent list from where it was before, so that the governors can start to take responsibility. I know that it's not what they can generate in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years, maybe 5, maybe even 10 years, maximum about 10 years. But we would have sent a positive signal to the international community of investors that in the next 5 years, there will be steady power supply that will be coming here. They can also start planning their investment in Nigeria. Because if we don't, then it's practically going to be tough for us to attract such investment. And I've heard a number of persons at different headquarters saying that we don't even need to produce anything so long as we can afford it. In fact, there have been evidence that people said that United Arab Emirates, what are they really exporting? The truth is that most of the things that are going to different countries are passing through United Arab Emirates. If you look at the numbers of finished product that is exported, that is taken out of United Arab Emirates, you wonder whether they have a major manufacturing zone. It is because the way the economy is structured. You cannot be an import-dependent nation and expect your currency to be stable and strong. You must find your way in the mix of things. And that is what I'm advising the Nigerian authority to do. If authorities must liberate the people out of poverty, hunger, and deprivation, we must find a way to become a net exporter and reduce our dependency on import. And all of this will, of course, have implication on our exchange rate.
We have a lot of callers coming in, and right now we have Mohammed from Yola. Mohammed, many thanks for calling. What's your contribution on the topic at hand, please? Make your thoughts count. Are you there? Can you hear me, Mohammed? I apologize, I have to let that go. Mr. Paul, I'm trying to manage time now, and there's a lot of calls trying to come in. But let me ask you, because there's a pressing need for the Tinubu-led government to address the issues causing multinationals to leave to bring economic relief. So do you think that this current government is doing enough to address the issue causing internationals to leave? If not, what specific policies? You've shared a lot thus far, but I must ask you, can you be specific with the kind of policies or actions would you recommend for this government to take in terms of mitigating these challenges and return from foreign businesses leaving the country? That's my first question to you. My second question, because of time, I'm trying to manage time right now, is the fact that prediction given by Director of Research and Advocacy at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Nigeria, that's Dr. Vincent Nwani, that I mentioned in my intro earlier. And of course, others like Peter Obi, indicate that at least 10 more notable multinationals may leave if conditions do not improve. You yourself have been part of the people who have seen into the future in the last few 6 months or late last year, saying that, this is the rate dollar will be, this is what's going to happen in terms of projection of organization leaving the country. So my question to you right now is, what step can be taken now to prevent further exits and stabilize the business environment? Quickly, what's your response to this?
Thank you so much once again, madam. I think we need to look beyond the current energy of government to further boost revenue. We must understand that businesses need to survive and people must buy for us to have economic activity. So the way economy is like a cycle where you have the household interacting with firms and firms interacting back with household. And we call it circular flow of income. When that cycle is broken, you will see firm living or household remaining in poverty. So here is it, the circular flow of income interaction is having a lot of discomfort or disconnection as it is. So what must government do? One, exchange rate stability. That, to a large extent, will rest with the central bank, because when people are coming to Nigeria, they want to have the confidence. We cannot say that in the last 1 year, exchange rates has moved from about 700 naira to 1,900 naira to 1,100 naira to 1,300, 400, now 500, which has even accounted for our debts to grow from over 77 trillion naira to 120 trillion naira within a year. It's within 6 months. You see, it calls for a lot of concern. How do we achieve stability in exchange rate? That will go beyond the scope of our conversation today. But of course, we have made a lot of information available on this platform and other platforms, including on live platform, including Twitter, so people can search because of time. But what government must do is to find stability. Two, there must be direction. Beyond talks, there must be economic direction so that investors will know that, okay, we want to stay with Nigeria in pain for the next 6 months or 1 year, because government have said all of this will happen. And immediately, people are seeing the action, impacting the ground. They are seeing support. In some of the businesses, people are seeing that.
Apologies, I might have to interrupt your line of thought. I apologize. There is a lot of calls coming in, and we're losing them because of the elaborate submission that you are giving. Brilliant submission, I must emphasize. But we have Prince Njoku from Rivers State. President Tinubu, many thanks for calling. What's your contribution on the topic at hand?
Mostly, hello?
We can hear you loud and clear. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm contributing mostly on the agro-based, the last comment the moderator was saying that the president has to divide the country in different agro-value chains. I suggested that to President Buhari during President Buhari period. Then I established a 12,000 cooperative database, and that they adopted my plan. And we raised our marketing and traders loan. And I think that helped most of the people in the rural area to produce Ghana rice and other food items. Now coming to the light issue. And mostly the international companies are leaving Nigeria, and Paris is the same thing. There's no light. How can they stay in the country where they cannot be able to raise energy to do their business? And as we are looking at things now, the country is going down. Things are getting worse every day. So if the president will not be able to manage, he should consult people to help him so that this country will grow, will move ahead. Things are getting...
for your what's it called, contribution on the issue at hand. And Mr. Paul, you can hear the pain of the citizens right there, you know, with what he's saying, that, you know, even there's no lights, there's no power, the energy for even all this multinational to remain is a big challenge. With all that you were sharing thus far, Mr. Paul, I must quickly try to start wrapping up the show because we are running out of time. It's the fact that some experts argues that despite the exit, Nigeria still remains attractive to new investors. With all that you've shared thus far, do you believe that new investors can fill the gap left by those existing leaving the country, or is it the damage already that they feel that there's no significant reason why any investor should come into the country? Because are there specific sectors or opportunities that are drawing new investors that people think that, you know, this will give room for new investors to come in? Because the exit of large multinationals has various impact on local businesses here in Nigeria today. So now, let me ask, how will the exit of these multinational companies stimulate local participation of private investors and venture capitals in our own economy to take responsibility of the issue at hand? What's your take thus far? This will be my last question to you.
Thank you so much. I will wear two caps. First, I will wear a nationalist cap by saying what I've said in Nigeria and out of Nigeria, that please, Nigeria is a place to invest. Investors is what everybody is looking for around the world. And the more you have, the merrier for us. If anyone leaves, it is too dangerous. We encourage people to invest in Nigeria. And that is what we continue to advocate. We will not change on that. But as an economist, we will face reality. Government and the private sector must understand that we must make our environment attractive for investment to come. Is it attractive enough today? The answer is no. What must we do is to heed to the voice of reason, such that when investors come, after a year or two, they will not want to leave. I mean, they will not say they want to leave, because if they leave, when one investor leaves, you are telling four not to come, technically. But some of us who are Nigerians, we have no option. We are here already. And that is why what I advise every Nigerian to say is to believe, one, to also encourage any other person that may want to invest in Nigeria to come. But we must provide that environment for such business to thrive. Because when you see, if they don't invest here, they will certainly go elsewhere. And going elsewhere means production is taking place there. And we have to still consume the same thing. So if we consume what is produced outside of our nation, we're actually destroying the naira, technically speaking, where we are satisfying ourselves. And we are throwing away jobs. So investing in Nigeria is key. I know there are challenges. I believe that economic models and economic solutions are available for all our challenges. Our willingness and determination to solve this problem headlong is another conversation entirely. And one of the things that may make these solutions to take a relatively short, medium, or long term is that we need to be solving them by building institutions along, because we have institutional challenges. We have to be building institutions that will surpass the people and will surpass the strength of individual. Other than that, I'm afraid we might not really be able to solve much of the problem.
So I understand we have Solomon from Ojodubega calling in. Solomon, what's your contribution on the topic at hand? Many thanks for calling. Are you there?
Yeah, Kike, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Solomon. Please go ahead. All right, unfortunately, I have to let that go. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul, for all your submission thus far. It's been an interesting time with you. But before I let you go, there's the last segment of the show that you know, which is trending stories. These are stories that bind us as Nigerians, you know, and as Africans. The first trending story that caught my attention is that of the former chief executive officer of one of Nigerians' e-commerce giants, Konga, Nick Imudia, has reported dead, or reportedly dead by suicide. And let me quickly say this, you know, it is with profound sadness that I'm reporting, or we've reported, because it's all over socials, you know, reporting the passing of Nick, because the former chief executive officer of one of Nigeria's e-commerce giants, Konga, you know, is a visionary leader, a beacon of success. I went through his profile before coming into the studio, you know, who reportedly died by suicide, you know, from his home. And this tragic, you know, event has left us all in shock and prompt us to reflect deeply on the silence, you know, the silent battles many individuals, especially men, face. You know, Nick's untimely death, you know, underscores the immense pressure or pressures that men often endure in silence. Despite his remarkable achievements, going through his profile, you know, broke my heart. He felt compelled to take his own life, leaving behind loved ones and legacy of professional excellence. You know, in the days leading up to his death, I asked, Nick reached out to his brother to discuss his estate and his will, and he called his child from previous relationship, from what I gathered on socials, to bid them farewell, urging them to stay strong. This final act, you know, of communication reveals that a man is grappling with unbearable pain and hopelessness. So I'm asking in pain. Sometimes when we see men, you know, exhibit certain choice of words or character or body language, are we not supposed to be sensitive enough to know? I don't know, because I know that in Africa we are too into let's mind our business, let's do also, because I just feel that this tragedy highlights a critical issue. Men are frequently expected to bottle up their emotions and shoulder their burden alone. Some people, even if they are noticed, they say, "You're a man, will you man up?" You know, we tell men to be strong, to not show vulnerability, to handle financial and family and business pressures without complaints. This societal expectation can lead to devastating consequences, as it did in Nick's case. So we must change this narrative. We must change it really quick. It is imperative to encourage men to speak out about their feelings and struggles. Open conversation about mental health that can save lives. Surrounding themselves or ourselves with loved ones and creating supportive environments, I feel is crucial. Having good support system. Men should not feel that seeking help is a sign of weakness. I don't know how we arrived at that. Instead, it should be seen as a step towards strength and recovery. Nick's death is a stark reminder that mental well-being should never be underestimated, particularly in African societies where mental health issues are often overlooked. We must prioritize mental health awareness. Let's provide adequate support system for and foster a culture where expressing vulnerability, you know, is not stigmatized but encouraged. So my message today, because this is a very emotional one, I'm trying to even not break down. My message today is that as we mourn Nick, as we mourn Nick's passing, let us honor his memory by advocating for mental health awareness. Let us check on one another, especially our men, and ensure that no one feels alone in their struggle. Mental health is just an it is as important as physical health. And it is high time it's being treated with seriousness that it deserves. Not until when somebody is dead before all of us will now be crying. Rest in peace, Nikki Mudia. May your legacy inspire us to create a more compassionate and understanding world. And may your death be a wake-up call for people to understand that, it's pretty important for us to be conscious of mental health and depression in our country. Quickly, Mr. Paul, in 30 seconds, because they've started running commentary in my ears, and I want to take the second last trending story. What's your take on this?
Well, I think all you said is they should be noted, and they are very important. For me, it breaks my heart that one of the architects of innovation in our country is gone. He didn't just run business, he ran a business of innovation. And for me, if such person is going because of mental health related issues and because of pains, I think we should probe into it and know how many other persons may be suffering from the same, so that we can mitigate concerns that may happen in near future.
Trending story with 2 minutes is the Sierra Leone that jubilates over banning of child marriages. This is very also important to me, but it is with great joy that we celebrate Sierra Leone, the monumental achievement in banning child marriage. This historical decision marks a significant step towards ensuring that the right and future of countless young girls, empowering them to pursue their dreams free from the constraints of early marriage, has been in fact, congratulations to the people of Sierra Leone for this, because the progressive move, the fight against child marriage is far from over. But this victory is a powerful reminder of what that can be achieved through advocacy, through awareness, through collective action. We must continue to advocate, spread awareness, and educate children about their rights and potential. Empowering young girls with knowledge and opportunities is something that I feel is essential for building a brighter and equitable future. So my message today is that child marriage is not and should never be a validation of anyone's existence. True validation comes from recognition from one's own wealth or worth and potential. While marriage can be a beautiful institution, don't get me wrong, with the right partner, I must also emphasize, because there are quite a lot of men that are out there that have no business getting married to girls, like my husband used to say. It can also be devastating when entered into for wrong reasons or at an inappropriate age. So it is crucial that marriage is a choice made freely, knowledgeably, not out of societal pressure or necessity. So the decision to ban this child marriage in Sierra Leone is a significant victory for all. It's a significant victory for human rights and gender equality. It's a sign that commitment to protecting young girls from the dangers and disadvantage of early marriage. This law will provide them with the opportunity to grow, to learn, to thrive, laying the foundation for a more empowered generation. Must I say that I'm really thrilled to see Sierra Leone women, our mothers, moved beyond this harmful practice. So let us all come together, continue to support, advocate for education, empowerment of young children everywhere. Marriage should not be seen as the sole measure of a person's worth. Instead, we should celebrate and nurture the diverse potential within each individual, wherever you are. So as I rejoice with Sierra Leone's achievement, let us also commit to sustaining the monumental in other parts of the world where child marriage still persists, where education, advocacy, empowerment are our tools to ensure that every child has the opportunity to choose their own path in life. Again, I say congratulations to Sierra Leone. This is a triumph for all human rights and the promises of a brighter and equitable future for all. On this note, this is where I draw the curtains of the show. Many thanks again for our resourceful guest, Mr. Paul, for all, Alaje, for all that you've shared thus far. It's been an interesting time with you on Real Talk with Kike today. This is where I draw the curtains of the show. Remain kind to one another. Bye now.